I'm going to run through the first problem on tonight's homework. So again, this is the last page of the Day 3 notes in Unit 11. So we'll run through all the characteristics real quick. I went ahead and did the first one. So the domain is always all real numbers. If you write it as the inequality, negative infinity is less than x is less than infinity, that is also fine. Or remember, you can write it with that r that we showed you in class. So any of these three are fine for domain. You do not need all three. Just pick one and go with it. Then for the range, I'm going to start off by finding my vertex. So my vertex is right here, and then I'm going to make my little dashed line all the way across to help with the range. Since I already found the vertex right here, the first dot I made, which is at 0, 3, I'm going to go ahead and fill that in for vertex. Then for the range, you want to know, is your graph above that line that we just drew in this dashed line, or is it below? So as you can tell, the parabola is on top of it. So all of these y values right here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, those are all bigger than 3. And we're getting that 3 because it's crossing the y-axis at 3. So my range is all my y values that are greater than or equal to 3. The axis of symmetry goes through that vertex. That one is your vertical line. It's all about where it crosses the x-axis. So that line that I just drew in, add some more light so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. This line, this green line, crosses my x-axis right here, which is at 0. So for my axis of symmetry, it is the line x equals 0. Your y-intercepts are the points where it crosses the y-axis. So again, that would be right here for me, right where my vertex is, which is at 0, 3. Remember that your vertex and your y-intercept aren't always the same. This one's just kind of a coincidence. My zeros are where the parabola crosses the x-axis. As you can see, my parabola is all the way up here. It's not coming anywhere near the x-axis. So for zeros here, there are none. That means there are no real solutions for this graph. The extrema, that means is it a maximum or is it a minimum? Which does this graph have? Since the vertex is at the bottom, that means this extrema is a minimum. For the maximum and minimum value, you're going to use that same line that you used for the range. So that pink line on my paper goes for both the range and the maximum and minimum value. So that minimum value is at 3. And I'm just even going to circle minimum there so we don't get confused. So there is no maximum value here, but my minimum value is at 3. The green line that we used for our axis of symmetry, we're also going to use that to help out with the interval of increase and the interval of decrease. So remember, you go from the left side to the right side. So if I start at the left, my pen is going down if I were to trace that. I'll just go ahead and trace it. So this first side is decreasing. And then over here, it is increasing. So I also used where it's purple for those. So the interval of increase, that's my arrow going up, that's on the right side over here. These x values are bigger than 0. So it's where my x's are greater than 0, whereas my interval of decrease is everything on the left, and these x values are smaller than 0. Positive and negative, remember positive is on top of the x-axis, negative is below the x-axis. If I cover up this negative part and I just look where it's positive, the whole graph is positive. So all I'm going to do is what I wrote up here for domain, I'm just going to write that down here for positive, and I'm just going to stick with all real numbers. That means every x value here is going to give you a positive y value because there's nowhere that it's dipping below here. If you look at the negative section, there's nothing. Nowhere is it negative. And then for end behavior, look at the behavior at the ends. So you look at your arrows. I kind of highlighted over mine, but they were both pointing up, which means my end behavior on both the left and the right are both going to positive infinity. So I would suggest that you guys use some highlighters or some colored pencils, some markers, just something. Drawing in these lines going across and that axis of symmetry, it's going to help you. You might feel kind of ridiculous doing it. You might be like, I don't need a highlighter. Highlighters are for babies. But I promise it's going to help you if you are struggling a little bit. So that's the first problem. There are 2 more for you guys to do for homework. We will review them at the beginning of class, just like always. Just to reiterate, this is on the quiz. So you need to know it.